Hello, guys and girls. Welcome back if you're not new, and welcome if you're new. It's another video, and for the first time in a while, this is actually a real time video. Well, it's a real time video that takes longer than 10 minutes. Um, yeah. I'm using the brush pen again because I felt like I might as well use it a bit more while it's still new and it's still fresh, and I want to try it out and test it and see what is possible to do with it. Yeah. Ugh. But I think that's the best way of doing it is by just using it, you know? It sounds very stupid, and it definitely is, like, but that's the way of using any art tool, is just by using it. How to get good at something, do it, or try to do it. Doesn't have to be great the first time. I think the first drawing I ever did with the brush pen was pretty bad. But, that's just how it is. But that was also my first time using it. Just trying to figure it out. I don't even know if you guys watched the video. You probably should. I would recommend watching it because it's a pretty decent, I wouldn't say review, but just, I guess my thoughts and opinions about it. It was a little bit difficult to get it started, but now I figured it out more now, so it's not that hard. I still have to change the way I hold the pencil a little bit more, or not the pencil, the pen, or whatever you want to call it, because I have to be on the very tip of the brush for it to produce a small line compared to a larger line. If it's, just a little bit on the side, it becomes kind of a thick pencil mark. Surprise, surprise, that's the point. And that's really great that I can get, like, it's almost like a two-in-one tool, because it can do very thick lines, but it can also do really small lines. And then it can also do this kind of like muddy, kind of streaky vibe thing. Like, that's super cool. At least I would say so. Yeah, but I'm just starting out here. I don't know what happened with these eyes, but I kind of like them. They're kind of slanted in a weird way. It's kind of unnatural. Like, and then they're like really awesome. But I think they worked out great. It's a very basic nose. I'm drawing, it's the typical, I don't even know what to call it, nose, but the usual one I draw, or at least something along the lines of what I usually draw for a nose, because I didn't want to do like just a hole, kind of the when you can see the bone and the hole where the nose is supposed to be. That can be very cool, but I also feel like it can be weird in a cool way, but also can be weird in a bad way, I guess. It depends on what you're going for. I would say on the characters that I want to be more human, I tend to put on the nose and do other stuff. But if I have characters where they could be, I could care less how human or how, they look, then it doesn't really matter. Then it's just whatever I feel like. But of course, it's like that every time. To be honest, it's just what I feel like doing. That I'm gonna be doing at least. So yeah. But it's different to use also because it's much more wet. The ink is kind of like it flows really good. The fountain pen flows good on the paper, but the brush pen is on a whole other level. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but I have to kind of be more slow with it because it's so much, slippery, or is that even a word? It's much more slippery, at least. And um, that means if I, let's say I try to make a stroke with the same amount of power I would usually do for the fountain pen, it would go much further and it would, do something different. So I have to be very methodical and careful and just slowly work it out, which is nice. I can also go very fast, and then it becomes a completely different result. So if I want something that's less kind of clean and less, like this one, I could do a drawing character head, whatever, really fast, which would produce more streaky and kind of fast-paced drawing, if that makes sense. Ugh. I'm home alone now, actually. Before I have to get to work, but I don't have to go to work yet. I just have to make sure I know where my keys are when I need them. Yeah, but my little brother, he's going off to boarding school right now. Like today is the first day, and my dad and mom, they are, have to accompany him for the first day. So they will, be there till something. I don't know. They don't come home before I go to work, but it's all right. Doesn't really matter. I guess it's all right if they. I just have to remember to lock the house and stuff like that. But it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good for him. It's gonna be nice for me that I can, like, record videos in my room, and I can get to sleep earlier because my little brother doesn't sit in the room across from me, like in a different room. We don't share a room. In the room, right next to mine, and scream at his friends about playing, Roblox at 2 a.m. or some shit. Like, I don't know if any of you guys have siblings, especially smaller siblings. But, my little brother and I, we're 4 years apart. And he is a little bit annoying, but he's also alright. So, it could be worse, I guess. But yeah. It's gonna be weird, though, to be 3 in the house instead of 4. But I think we'll manage. At least I know I will. But yeah. So just drawing an ear and just, already here I could like tell this is gonna be a cool drawing because the eyes and the nose, and it just works. I guess it just felt like it worked, at least. At that point, and I think it really does. I get much more like flowy, and but still sharp lines are still very possible, but it's much easier to get flowy lines if you wanted to. And the nice thing about it being kind of opaque, or pretty opaque actually, is it has a really good color. Being able to just fill out spaces which are small, large, medium, like very easily, because the pen just changes, size in a way. The amount of ink that comes out can be changed with just the way you hold the pen or how hard you push down, which is something I didn't know I needed. Well, not that I needed it, but something I didn't know I would love to use, I guess. It's the best way of putting it. Because I feel like sometimes you don't know how good an art tool is before you've tried it, I guess. So sometimes it's just about trying different art tools. I think that's important. Like, just like everything in life, trying new things, but especially in art, I guess just trying new things is really important. I think it is. Of course, I've heard good things about, like, don't try stuff that you've heard bad things about, unless like you don't really believe it. Like, it's up to you. But I believe strongly that you should try as many art tools as possible, even stuff you normally probably wouldn't use. Like, with this drawing here, the brush pen. One thing I've heard about, but I wanted to try, but I just didn't, I just didn't do it for a reason I don't really know. But that was a really nice discovery. Or it could be, other stuff. I don't really know. It depends. And there will always be new drawing or painting gadgets, which probably don't do the most. But that's all right. In a way, it's kind of good that new stuff keeps getting invented or stuff that has been used but not very much becomes popular, or other things. Just the fact that there's constantly change in the world of art is nice, and I think that's something I want to incorporate into my own art. Just, it's all about what I want to do, so that's what I'm gonna do. Sounds very simple, and it is. It's just like, just about creating, just doing something. It doesn't even have to look like anything you've ever done before. It can be whatever you want, to a degree, I guess. If you're an artist and you make money from your art, and every time I paint a fish or whatever, it sells better than every time I paint a tree, then of course it makes sense, and there's an incentive to draw or paint more fish than trees. But if there's of course the commercial part of art, which dictates what you should paint or draw or create. Because if you want to live off your art, of course, it's not everybody has that dream. I think a lot of artists has that dream, but not everyone. I think there's a lot of people who like to draw or paint, but doesn't see it as a viable career, which is completely fair. I personally, I've always known I wanted to be an artist in some form, but the more I grow up, the more I realize that, yeah, it would be cool to do art, but it has to be at a level where it isn't like work. So it has to be like, I make paintings and drawings and I sell them. It doesn't have, it can't be, oh, I do a commission for somebody and I get money for that, or people only want to buy when I paint this or draw this. Like, it has to be self-sufficient in a way, if it makes sense. And also, like, if I wanted to not produce anything, I could. And that's hard to get there. Sorry. That's very hard to get there compared to, I would say, a normal job. My throat is really like sore. I'm not sore, just yeah, it's a called I have sore throat. I think is, my voice is a little bit raspy. I don't know if I'm getting sick or anything. Yeah. Well, as I was saying, but it doesn't have to be an artist. I personally just want a job where I have a lot of free time and still, make a livable wage. I don't have to be a millionaire or something like that, or even more. I just like to have a place to live and more than enough money to take care of my family and, have something to eat, I guess. And be able to just paint and draw all that I want. And that's more possible than just, oh, I have to be an artist. I can also do that while being an artist. Don't get me wrong. But that's also one of the reasons why, I like YouTube so much, because it gives me a possibility, not yet, but at one point it could, pay, and it doesn't have to pay like, oh, $10 million payout from ad revenue. Not really. I don't have to be be at that point, and I'm probably never gonna reach that point unless I start doing crazier stuff. But it could be cool to just be a little bit extra, like, have the art hobby, kind of taking care of itself. So, when I draw or video or paint or whatever, the videos pay for the materials themselves. That would be, you know, really cool. That would be insane. But we'll see. I reached, 1,000 subscribers, but we still need the watch hours. So that doesn't mean I'm gonna make, longer videos now. I'm gonna make longer videos when I have the time and I have stuff to speak about in the videos, I guess. But I also think like the small 10-minute videos are good. because it's easier to watch and it's easier to enjoy, I guess. Well, not as easier to enjoy, but the videos are easier to, you know, complete. Not that people generally do that, but that's all right. Also, I want more challenges. I really want more challenges because that was really fun. The video did pretty well, but that's not, why I want more, because it was really fun actually having kind of being like having an excuse to make something that's not perfect, because I don't normally use just color, and especially, oil pastels and pretty bad oil pastels. I can see why they were so cheap. They are not good. They're really not that good. Um, but guys, so if you want to see me do anything or try a tool or try type of paint or just, whatever it could be, you just throw a comment and I'll see what I can do. Or you can just, do whatever. But yeah, kind of beginning to see the full picture here. It's getting closer. But yeah, it's a lot of small lines, a lot of stuff to do, a lot of this and a lot of that, and just working in the page. I really took my time with this one because I didn't feel like, I didn't want to rush it. I didn't want to do anything hasty or just, I have to make a video, just do it fast. I kind of wanted to make a cool drawing because the thing is, making drawings for the videos is cool and for myself, of course, but also if the drawings are good enough, I could cut them out of the sketchbook and put them in a frame, and then it's much more sellable. In that at that point, it's easier to sell. So, and honestly, I probably wouldn't buy a drawing that's not in a frame, or at least doesn't come with a frame, because it's a very fragile piece of paper most of the time. So just not having a frame would be kind of stupid. Not even kind of stupid, would be really stupid. So I'm just kind of focused on that. Or at least trying to stay more focused on that I also have to, create art for the physical world. Not just the internet. Yeah. But it's a slow process, and I think that's one of the things I like about it. I like the process. I like creating, and my mind just kind of, goes off to the side, not really thinking about anything. But I didn't listen to music today, actually. I didn't put on a great vinyl or something like that. I didn't really do that. My collection is steadily growing. I have 3 more vinyl records coming in hopefully soon. It depends, because they were on, what is it called? They were far away delivery, so they didn't have them on hand. At least not most of them. I think one of them or 2 of them they didn't have on hand, so they have to wait before they all arrive to send the package, which I think is nice. But I've still spent the money, but it's all good. Keep on waiting, but that's also fine, because it's not something that has to happen fast. It's an expensive hobby, I know, but I also like owning my music. I also have a lot of CDs, but today, not a music day or drawing or whatever. So I watched some videos, with my computer, my laptop on the side. So I didn't really watch it, I just had it in the background. And I'm watching this Danish YouTuber. He's pretty popular here in Denmark. And he's playing, I think it's Pokemon Heart, Silver's Gold or something. No, not Silver, it's Brilliant Diamond or something, Pearl, I can't remember, but it's not the originals, it's kind of the remastered for the Switch. I don't know if it's the Switch 2 or just the normal Switch, but it looked really fun, to be honest. it it looked really cool. Um, so I was debating with myself if it's the Switch one, yeah, you could get one pretty cheaply. Um, but would I do that just to play the original Pokemon? And probably I don't. I'm not that much of a gamer, but I do enjoy this YouTuber's commentary, and I also just enjoy Pokemon. I think Pokemon is cool. You know, I think you kind of never grow out of it completely. I'm not a collector or have the cards or play the games. I did when I was smaller, a little child. Um, I checked. I remember I recently checked actually if I had any cards that was worth anything to put online or do stuff. But I had like 5 cards, which was the special ones, and they were the most expensive one was $3 in ungraded, pretty good condition. And my cards were not pretty good anymore. They had been through the rough, I guess. But that's all right. I don't really need them for anything. But it could have been cool if I had something that was kind of expensive. Would have been cool, but yeah. But it also depends, like, on the day what I watch. If I watch, something on the side. Sometimes I listen to podcasts also, but that really depends. I don't listen to podcasts where it's just two dudes who are only known for doing this kind of shit podcast. I don't do that. I don't like that. I think I want that the best podcast is the ones where someone gets interviewed, because then I know, okay, this guy is gonna talk, or this girl is gonna say, about her life, or this expert or something like that. I like those types of podcasts because I feel like it's it's not necessarily less bullshit, but it's just there's this specific type of people who start a podcast, like you know two guys thinking they're very smart when they're not, and not really having that interesting lives or anything else about them, but they're like, oh yeah, let's start a podcast, bro. And it's the worst thing ever. And they have some of the worst takes ever on everything. I can't believe people listen to, you know, I think there is a fair few bit of good podcasts, but it's not the ones where just two random dudes talking. That's just dull, in my opinion. I want someone to be interviewed who I look up to, or just not two random dudes yapping about, oh, I did this and shut up. I know that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm basically a one man podcast, I guess, but it's not that I'm sitting with my bro and being like, yo, I just got this girl, bro. Not that kind of, like, I think that especially those alpha male podcasts, I don't get why people watch it. It's so cringe and it's so weird, and it's the most stupid people ever, in my opinion. If you like alpha male podcasts, I feel sorry for you. But that's your own problem, man. Or woman, of course. Anybody who wants to watch that shit. But I guess I am a one man podcast in a sense. But instead of just looking at me with my, weird, like, mustache and, you know, long bowl cut, you get to watch me draw or paint, which I guess is a little bit more cool. But I can also, talk about the painting and drawing. And I do that also, as you've probably seen and heard from this video. So I think there's more to that, but yeah. But I can't really force anybody to not watch stuff. Sometimes I'm just baffled. And sometimes completely understandable. Like some of these clickbaits are crazy good. Yeah. Can really see I'm packing in the details here. And I will do a little bit more about these lines later on. to be honest, because I feel like they're too clean right here. But you'll see me changing that in a little bit, just to kind of even it out a bit more, because this drawing has a lot of very thick lines compared to thin ones. So I think that's, there's something about that, just, thickening up the lines here, making it a little bit more even in a good way. Just that's also, one tip I want to give you. Sometimes just thickening up spaces kind of evens out, drawings or paintings sometimes. It's a really good way of actually making sure that it's kind of it makes sense in my head. Yeah. But it's starting to look really good. Yeah, I'm doing a little bit more on that side. Just finishing up with this thing here. Yeah, just a little bit building up the values, I guess, and just making it have like a thick outline. But yeah. Yeah. So I think I've said everything. I haven't been done doing that much, a couple of weeks, or a couple of weeks. It's Sunday today. I have to work, and then I have to work Monday, and then is it Thursday or Tuesday? The day after Monday, I don't remember what it's called in English. My bad. I start in school with a field trip for the second and third years for some reason, where we have to get out. At least what I've heard, we're going to a little pretty boring forest close by, which is not a problem, but I'm like, why then go on a field trip? Not that there's anything wrong with going out in a forest or something like that. That could be really cool, but it's like one of the most boring forests around. But yeah, I don't know. And I feel like I don't want to skip it because I want to see my friends. So, and, and I have nothing better to do. It's not like, oh, I should be doing other stuff. It's not like that. It's just whatever, man. And then we don't even have a full day. Wednesday. It's like we had two lessons from half to 9 to 10 or something. So like 1.5 hours. That's all the schooling we have on the Wednesday. But I can't even be there because I'm at a funeral. But you know, so yeah. But it's also like probably the best day to skip because it's English and I'm pretty good at English, as hopefully you can hear and agree with. Um, but our teacher, she's very sweet. She's a nice person, but oh God, she's not a great English teacher. At least she hasn't shown it yet that she has the possibility or capability, whatever you want to call it, to be a great English teacher. She has just, been a kind of mid teacher, which is really unfortunate because she is nice. It's not that she's not mean or a bad person or anything. She's just not a great teacher. That's also one of the only reasons I took religion on B level this year because I had to take another B level class, but I couldn't figure out for the life of me what I was gonna take. But then it hit me. I'm all right at religion, at least on C level. But I was like, wait, there's only really good teachers in religion. Like there's not a bad teacher to get. And I was like, oh, well, bingo, I guess. So I just had to take that one because if I feel like if I could have taken like biology, and I'm not that good at biology. I could have taken other stuff, social studies, but I feel like social studies are important, but yeah, I wasn't that great, and teachers were all right, but so that was my reasoning behind taking religion on B level. I don't know if it's done here. Maybe it is. No, not yet, not yet. Just finishing up the very last things here. It's about a minute left of the video, so if you watched this far and you haven't liked or subscribed or commented yet, please do so. That would mean the world to me. That would be really cool. Especially because you definitely enjoyed the video if you watched this far. At least I would say so. But yeah. I want to say thank you for watching. Love you guys and girls. And have a nice day, night, or whenever you're watching this. Bye bye. Enjoy the silence. Bye.